Good morning, folks, and welcome to video 2 in our series on the superpower relations and Cold War paper. Hopefully you've already watched the video where I talked through question 1. That's the two consequences question. Today, I'm going to talk you through question 2, which typically strikes fear into the hearts of year 11s when it really shouldn't, because it's quite a straightforward question as long as you know what it's asking you and you follow the structure that I am about to teach you. So, first of all, I'm going to have a look at the question itself to have a look how it's structured. And I'll talk to you about the kind of do's and don'ts with this question. So, first of all, it says, write a narrative account. Now, many of you are probably thinking, oh, that's simply a story. Not quite. The only way that this is really a story is because you are aiming to include a beginning, a middle, and an end. However, this is history, it's not English, so we're going to rephrase this. When we talk beginning, we need to talk about causes, okay, because they happen first. Here, we need to talk about events. Okay, I like to say that these are often transitional events because they get us to consequences. Okay, really important that you understand this isn't just a story. You are trying to find the causes of something, then talk about the key events, then the consequences of it. This should all be joined together. Okay, we're going to want 3 paragraphs here. Okay, so 3 paragraphs. The key to getting into the top level here, to getting 7 or 8 out of 8, is to make the links between the causes and the events, and then the events and the consequences. You must really follow this through. I want to see lots of, as a result of this led to, etc., etc. You want loads of those consequential sentence starters that are linking the paragraphs together. That's the whole point here. You need to be really careful with your date range. Make sure that you don't go certainly beyond it, but also before it. You want to stick within that date range. These 2 points here are things that you can, so you may include them, and they are generally quite helpful in the Cold War paper. They will generally give you an idea of certainly the beginning and the end quite often. So in this case, we've got the Berlin Ultimatum, which is going to feature in our causes paragraph. We've then got the construction of the Berlin Wall, which for us today is going to feature in our consequences paragraph. The bit in the middle is the bit that's missing in here. If your knowledge is good, you would have guessed this already. I can't write today, apparently. That should say summits. That's those are our transitional events. Those are the things that lead to the consequences, but they're also there as a result of the cause. Okay, so it's always a good idea to jot down what your 3 paragraphs are going to be about. So for us, we're going to start off with the brain drain or the refugee crisis, however you want to term it, and the ultimatum as part of that. Ultimatum, can't spell. Okay, leading to the summits. That's going to be our middle paragraph, our transitional paragraph. Then the last one for our consequences is going to be the construction of the Berlin Wall. Okay, and it's in this one that we're also going to want to talk about the impact on relations between East and West. Okay, so this is going to be paragraph 1, this is going to be paragraph 2, and this is going to be paragraph 3. Now, I think today, because I'm kind of limited on time to 15 minutes on my videos, I'm going to write out the first paragraph, and I'm then going to show you how I would start to link that to the second paragraph, because this is the most important part. Okay, and again, you're going to want to do that here. Okay, it's all about the linking. This led to, because, this led to, because, this led to, because. And if you've still got your writing booklet that I gave out to all of you, you've actually got a writing frame for this in there. Okay, you've got the causes paragraph and how you might structure that. You've got the events paragraph or the transitional paragraph. Then you've got the consequence paragraph. You've also got a list of words that you might want to use here. So as I've said, you've got these consequential words, these sentence starters, as a result of, therefore, this led to, thus, in order to, as a consequence, consequently. Okay, this is all about making that link and proving cause and consequence. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to make a start on this. So we want to make sure that in our causes paragraph, we're getting some key information in about something that started at the beginning of our date range here. So we're going to talk about the brain drain. Okay, now you don't need to give a massive, grandiose kind of explanation of this. You just want to get a few key facts in here that are going to enable you to get onto your second paragraph. Okay, so by 1958, there was a refugee crisis in Berlin. Okay, and you want to try and be as specific as you possibly can here. Many skilled workers, and then just to show the examiner that I'm an expert, I'm going to name some of them. So we might want to go teachers, for example, engineers, etc., were fleeing communist East Berlin for better pay and standard of living in capitalist West Berlin. And then I might just give one more fact if I've got time, just to make it clear that I'm a real expert on this. Nearly 4 million Germans fleeing west between 1945 and 1961. So I've given my facts. Now's my opportunity to use some of these resulting words, these consequential words. Okay, so this meant that communism appeared less desirable. What you really want to avoid here is this made communism look bad. That's a really low level answer. You want to get more specific than that. This meant that communism appeared less desirable and meant that a skills vacuum, oof, impressed myself there. This meant that a skills vacuum began to appear in East Berlin. And here we go again. As a result of this, Khrushchev gave the West an ultimatum in order to try and stop this brain drain. Then I'm just going to put in the demands of the ultimatum. He demanded that the West must leave Berlin within 6 months. I don't need to give all the terms of the ultimatum, that's the key one. Okay, so that's my first paragraph. I've given some facts about the beginning of my story, the brain drain, and I've given some really good facts there as well, nice and specific. Nearly 4 million Germans had fled by 1961. I've spoken about the skilled workers and the kind of jobs they did, but I've also got loads of those consequences in there, lots of those linking phrases. I've got this meant that. I've got as a result of this. It's these sentence starters that are going to really signpost to your examiner that you understand how this question is a narrative question, and that you must be talking about results and outcomes and how they're linked. Okay, so we would then move on to the middle part of our question and talk about how the ultimatum leads to this. Tensions began to rise as the West were outraged at Khrushchev's demands. Let's get that one out of the way. Therefore, so again, see, lots of linking. Therefore, a series of summits were held. Now, I would then go into some detail about those summits, just briefly discussing what happened, ignore the bell, what happened, what the result of them was, etc., 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 before then doing the exact same thing and linking it to the end of my question. And we know that our big consequence here is going to be the Berlin Wall and the impact that had. So in our final paragraph, after we've discussed the summits, I would then be talking like this. As a result of the failure of these summits, I can't spell, Khrushchev constructed the Berlin Wall. I then give some consequences of that. This led to, I discussed the impact it had. This meant that relations between East and West, ... So can you see what I'm doing here? No more than 3 paragraphs, very clear narrative that is linked together by lots of those consequential sentence starters. As a result of this, this led to, this meant that, consequently. If you do that, you will get 8 out of 8, okay? It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to include every single thing from the time period that you're given in order to get top marks. It just must show that narrative and it must show that linkage. What causes what, and then what are the consequences of that? Again, if you've got any questions about this, pop them in the comment section. I hope it helps. Take care.